Look at him. There's go to the tree. So that was good. Oh yeah, big time. It's perfect. Hey guys, so I just got done testing the new Tiger 800 in Morocco. Now, I'm actually in Arizona right now. When I was in Morocco, I got a really bad cold, lost my voice. I had this plan where I was going to have Spurgeon Dunbar and some other journalists kind of do my talking points for me.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Steve Camerad has lost his voice, so in this video he'll be using additional journalists to speak for him. I'm Steve Camerad, and I'm a douchebag.
But you know, once we did that, I realized that it wasn't going to really describe the new Tiger the way I wanted to, and you know, come across the way I wanted it to. So I put it on pause, and I was fortunate enough to come out here for this dealer immersion event for Triumph. So now I'm able to have the bike with me and talk about it a little bit. First thing right off the bat, the new Tiger 900 is so much better than the Tiger 800. Now, it's completely all new, completely different, and like right with the motor, starting with that, it's got this new firing order, so it's a little staggered or you know, uneven. They've had to put a new counterbalancer in it to keep it real smooth, but what it does is it allows the motor to break traction, and then it gives it a minute to actually regain traction, which MotoGP racers used to do it, and it's one of those kind of formulas where like why a big V-twin puts down good power in the dirt, because it's not this 1, 2, 3 firing order. It's 1, 2 real close, and then there's a space and then a third firing order, and it allows that rear tire to actually regain some traction. I thought it was kind of, you know, BS or maybe like unnoticeable. This thing hooks up so good. It's like a trophy truck. It just violently makes power forward, which I really like that. It also makes a little bit more power, 10% more torque, 10% more horsepower, or 12. And you know, it might not sound like a lot, but it makes the motor completely different. You can run it way further down low in the RPM range. It doesn't want to be like screaming on the pipe at like 9,000, 10,000 RPMs. So you ride it a little bit different, and it just makes it a whole different motor. So that's really cool, but it still keeps its Triumph, you know, triple whirl and some of those characteristics of it, but it just makes it easier to ride. Awesome stuff there. It also do like third gear stand-up power wheelies if you bounce it a little bit, which the old Tiger wouldn't really do unless you geared it down. Speaking of gearing, this has an all-new gearbox in it. First, second, third, and fourth are still the same spacing, but fifth and sixth are taller. So even at 90 miles an hour, you're still below 5,500 RPMs. So like it cruises down the highway really good, and it lets you just kind of relax on it. It doesn't feel as frantic when you're going down the highway or like it's trying as hard. And then that's all linked up to this new clutch pack. It's a slipper assist clutch pack, which, you know, slipper assist clutches are cool because they add kind of pressure to the clutch pack as the clutch engages, so the clutch feels easier. So at some points off-road it might feel a little grabby, you just have to be smoother with it. And then the slipper part about it is nice because you won't stall the bike out as much. It actually like kind of lets the rear wheel lock up a little bit, and it disengages the motor a little bit, so it stalls a lot less than the old Tiger 800 did. Suspension wise, this bike is phenomenal, like way better than, you know, the old XCs, way better than the XCAs or XCXs, which had WP suspension on them. They've gone back to Showa. This now has 240 millimeters of travel up front and 230 at the back. The back is still a linkage rear. It's a lot more firm, it feels like, as soon as it gets into the stroke of it. So when you kind of pack it out in a G out and that rear end kind of squats, it kind of holds its ground there and hooks up a little bit better. That's my perception of it. It exhibits a lot less rear wheel lift, which the old Tiger would do from time to time. If you came into something and you hit like a log at the end, you'd get this rear wheel lift. This bike only did it twice to me on the press launch in Morocco, and I mean it's pretty much unnoticeable now. So that's all kind of gotten sorted out. And then you know, the front is really plush along with the rear. That initial stroke into the suspension is really nice. Like there was a couple times where I was going to do a jump, you know, nothing big, little guy or whatever, and I thought the bike actually never left the ground, but that's actually not the case. The bike did leave the ground, but on impact, it doesn't have that harsh initial feel. Big improvements there all the way around. The dynamic range of the suspension, because it now has external preload adjusters plus compression and rebound on the front, and then preload adjuster and rebound on the rear. It's going to suit a lot more wide range of riders. Like we had everybody from 150 pounds up to you know, 220, 230, 240 for some of the more experienced high level riders, and everybody was pretty happy on it. Like nobody was like, man, this is really stiff, or you know, I'm blowing through the stroke. I actually only bottomed out the bike once on a really big kind of, you know, goony jump thing. So that speaks a lot, because the old Tigers will bottom out a lot. And when it bottomed out, it actually bottomed out on the suspension, not on the oil pan. That is due in part to the new oil pan casting that Triumph's put on this. They've managed to cut out some of the bottom of the oil pan, so you lose a little bit of oil capacity. Not a problem on adventure bikes. And then they rerouted the exhaust and where the catalytic converter is, so it's got more ground clearance. And then they've also moved the engine center of gravity lower and more forward in the frame. That's why it's got those split radiators up front now, which do a tremendous job of cooling the motor. Nobody ever complained about heat issues in Morocco, and we're in Arizona now, and no heat issues on this bike. So that's a big improvement there. It's got dual cooling fans on both sides. So by going in and moving the engine a little bit more forward, they've actually extended the rear swing arms, so that adds more stability to the bike, as well as the foot pegs have been moved 20 millimeters back. Really great stuff for ergonomics and the way that the bike distributes your weight a little bit more 50-50 and get some of that weight off the front. The old Tigers were known to kind of knife edge or push the front end a little bit in deep sand or mud. And that was due in part to the rake angle. The rake angle on the old Tigers was really steep. It was like 23.4 degrees. Now it's 24.4 degrees. Big improvement, but still not where all the other adventure bikes are. All the other adventure bikes are at 27 degrees of rake. So the front end on this bike still feels a little twitchy. And that's going to take some getting used to. You just got to learn how to ride your adventure bike, which is something that I've always told people to do. I still would have liked to see Triumph do a little bit more rake angle on the front for the Rally and the Rally Pro, which is what they're calling the new XC or XA. And that just would have been a nice feature to have, you know, just a little bit more stability up front, because that's why some bikes are easier to ride than others, is because the geometry works better for off-road for beginners. As you begin to get better at riding off-road, you know, you'll adapt and you'll overcome with this bike, and you'll learn how to ride it. There's also a little bit of the top forks showing, so you'll be able to pull those through and flush them out, which rakes out the front end a little bit. There's maybe another 3 millimeters in there, and that'll make a big difference, as well as if you take all the preload out of the rear will squat a little bit more. So if you find yourself in deep sand or mud, that'll be the way to go for setting this thing up for suspension wise. Rider modes are all still really good. It's got, for the Rally Pro, it has Rider, Rain, Road, Sport, and then Off-Road and Off-Road Pro. The regular Rally doesn't come with Off-Road Pro, which I think is a little cheeky, because like Triumph could have added that. But all it really does is allow you to shut off the rear ABS completely. This still, if you have the regular Rally, it still has off-road ABS, which you can still lock up the rear pretty solid. I don't know if it's that much of an advantage. What this bike does have, though, on the Rally Pros, it comes with, you know, crash bars, fog lamps, not a big deal. But the heated seats, heated grips, heated passenger seat, but also the quick shifter is really slick. It quick shifts up and down, works flawlessly. On the road, awesome. Like, get it in first, hold it wide open, bang through the gears all the way up to sixth. It is so cool the way it just kind of kills the throttle for you, and you bang these shifts faster than you could do it yourself by trying to clutch or get off and back on the gas. And then in an off-road situation, the downshifts are really neat because you can go from like third down the second gear or first gear. If you come into a turn too hot and you lock it up and you're making all these mistakes, you start coming down in the gears, you'll actually be able to keep the bike running, keep it under power. You won't have that thing where it stalls out and then you have to have a tip over because you don't have any power or drive. You can just get those downshifts done. That's a really, really neat feature of this bike. The only thing is the tachometer on the bike, the digital one, is pretty much unreadable. There's 4 different formats for it. It just seems like somebody who never rode a motorcycle designed that, and that's just, I hope Triumph has some kind of software update for that, but it's really hard to read because it has these little winglets that stick out, and you might think you're doing 2,000 RPMs, but it's really 3,000 RPMs because of this little design feature that's supposed to mimic the LED headlights. LED headlights work really good. We rode it in the dark a little bit. Yep, no complaints there. The overall feel of the bike has been greatly improved. I didn't think that there was like space to be saved on the Tiger 800, and they have actually made this bike more compact. The gas tank is much less intrusive. They did that by moving the engine a little lower and a little bit more forward. They've gotten the gas tank in a better place. The air box is in a better place. So all the weight has been centralized. And then when you're riding the bike, if you're trying to do track stand stops or, you know, like balance point exercises, this thing's really good. I mean, I'm able to balance on this almost as good as the Scrambler 1200 XE, which I think is the easiest bike to balance on, even easier than the BMW R1250 GS or GSA, either of those. You know, comparatively, when it comes to this bike, there's a few other bikes on the market that it's going to compete against. You know, without testing them side by side, there's really not, you know, it's not a valid thing for me to do and go in and say like, hey, this is better than a KTM 1090. Like, you shouldn't do that. But what I will say is that it is smaller than a KTM 1090. It's faster than the F850 and a much better street bike than the F850. It's going to be a little harder to ride than the off-road than the F850. Yamaha T7, don't know when that's coming out, so I haven't ridden one. Maybe 2037 when they finally get here, we'll be able to do something like that. The Africa Twin, super easy bike to ride, really a lot of fun. Does not have the motor, does not have the suspension, does not have the brakes that this bike has. BMW R1250 GS, completely different bike. Huge, massive bike. Best thing for carrying 100 pounds of gear into the woods. This bike might be more like a 60, 70 pound kind of get all your gear back in the woods bike. But yeah, just on a different plane. So really, if you want me to compare any bikes, you know, or like a feelings, you know, I like to compare bikes, you know, right side by side because, you know, that's how you should really do it. But if you ask yourself, hey, what you want to do with your adventure bike or what you're actually going to do with it, and you really, you know, kind of chime in on that. If you drop me a line on that, I'll try to help steer you in the right direction. Also, the brakes on it are phenomenal. They're the Style Emmas from Brembo. They're Brembo monoblocks. They're even better than the M50s, and they're just tremendous. They got a great initial bite. It's a huge upgrade. It's 4-piston monoblocks versus the old 2-piston sliding calipers that the old Tiger 800 had. It really makes you kind of realize that the old Tiger 800 was kind of under... the brakes were lacking, you know, under braking. I don't know, under broken, whatever. And then it's got the tubeless wheels on it now. The cross spokes like BMW does, or like the new Honda Africa Twin's going to do, or like the F850 BMW. Nice feature for, you know, on the road. It actually makes tires perform better when they don't have a tube stuck in them. It'll make for, you know, puncture repairs to be a lot easier. You don't just have to worry about those pinch flats. I like them. We actually ran them when we tested the bikes down to 22 PSI, which I thought was a little, I don't know, daring for Triumph to do because I could have swore I was going to smash some rims because I'm pretty good at doing that, and really didn't have any issues there. No broken rims, no flat tires. So, yeah, I mean, the bike is better in just every way. The handlebars, the way they're swept, and just the whole cockpit feel, and it's still got that dashboard that's adjustable. You just pull it out, and push it up or down. You know, it gets out of the way. I prefer a smaller windshield, and some people will prefer a bigger windshield, but this one lands right in the middle. It does its job. The heated grips are good. The heated seat, touring comfort's going to be great. Engine vibrations from this bike, because, you know, that's the touring guys are going to be concerned with that. I personally think it's still one of the smoothest running engines on the market. The only thing that's smoother than this is the old 800. Some other magazines have reported that the engine vibrations might have been a lot. I find that to be false. A big time false there. You know, if you want to nitpick, yeah, it has a little bit more vibration through the handlebars than the old 800, but for me, that's not the case. If you guys have any other questions, or, you know, you want to know numbers or stats, I've written a pretty extensive article for ADV Pulse, so I'm going to link that below. You can check it out there, and you know, if you could also put a message right in the comments section, I'll jump in there and I'll answer it the best I can. I hope this helps you guys out, and you know, see you guys out there. I'm tired.
Oh, did he go down? Whoops. Oh. Just so you were clear, you were trying to follow me, and you couldn't do it. You couldn't hang. Couldn't do it, Couldn't do it,
That's not what happened.
Steve Camrad was trying to follow me. He just couldn't hold on. I saw it. I recorded it. Man, oh man. This is a different day for the internet. Normally the people crash trying to follow you. What is it?
I wrote it to a stop. Technically, it wasn't a crash.
February 8th, 2020. Steve Camrad was trying to follow Spurge. He didn't make it. Went down. Went down hard.
The hood that's in here, it's like a neck brace fitting my helmet. I hope you have your feet on. Hold on, wait a minute. Let me turn the GoPro on. It's still alive!
You almost pushed me into a man truck. I saw you coming, I was like, oh, let me elbow block him.
Fucking great. Fucking great. You go peanut. I'm tired.
Please tell me you got a video of that.
Hey.
One last. Dude, why don't you watch it? Oh yeah, look at me with my gold stack.
I just don't know what it costs.
I don't know what it costs because I have all the money. Just another reps on the credit card and then it's all
The yellow cup goes over your nose and mouth like so.
Apparently Europe does airports so much better than we do airports in America. These places are amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can't say that. Back-to-back world champs.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going down an elevator. This is an experience, a wild ride. So far, it's been quite smooth, and I'd recommend it to anyone. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, my review of the elevator here in Milan at the Hilton Airport Hotel.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are here on the shuttle bus from the hotel to the airport, and it is a wild ride. Our driver, Pedro, is getting us there fast. He's getting us there hard. If you think riding a motorcycle is fun, it ain't got nothing on this shuttle bus. This is shit your pants fun, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Spurge reviewing the escalator here in the Madrid airport. The ambiance is lovely. There's neon. It's moving nice and smoothly. No rough patches. Would highly recommend this escalator. Any of you out there? This one's broken. This one doesn't seem to be working. Do not recommend this escalator. It's not working right. Spurge here on the tram in the Madrid airport. So far, this has been the wildest, bumpiest ride we've taken today. If you're an elderly hard. Spurge here in Madrid to review this magical walkway. You don't need to do anything. You stand still and it does the walking for you. This is the lazy man's dream. Or if you dream like a bionic man, you can run super fast.
Turn around, wave.